I found the withdrawal slip in my husband's jacket pocket while searching for his phone to call him about my biopsy results. $3,000. Dated the morning of my surgery. The same morning he'd kissed my forehead in the hospital room and promised he'd be there when I woke up. The same morning my daughter had texted saying she couldn't make it because of a work emergency. The memo line read, "Family Vacation Fund." My hands were still shaking from the anesthesia as I unfolded the paper again, like maybe the words would change. They didn't. I sat on the edge of our bed, the bed I'd shared with Marcus for 28 years, and something cold settled in my chest that had nothing to do with the cancer they'd just removed. The door opened downstairs. Marcus's voice carried up, cheerful, almost singing. "Diane? Honey, you awake?" I shoved the slip back into his pocket and smoothed the jacket flat. When he appeared in the doorway with grocery bags and that smile I'd fallen in love with in college, I studied his face like I was seeing a stranger. How long had I been sleeping next to someone I didn't know? "How'd it go?" he asked, setting the bags down and moving toward me. His hug felt rehearsed. Practiced. I let him hold me and noticed he smelled different. Not bad, just different. Like expensive cologne I'd never bought him. "They got it all," I said into his shoulder. "Clean margins." Dr. Chin was pleased. "That's my girl." He pulled back, hands on my shoulders, beaming. But his eyes flicked to his jacket on the chair. Just for a second. Just long enough. I should have asked him about the money right then. But I didn't. Because some part of me already knew that if I pulled that thread, my entire life would unravel. I'd been the kind of mother who kept baby teeth in labeled envelopes. The kind of wife who ironed shirts on Sunday nights and meal prepped to save money. For 28 years, I'd built a life around my family, Marcus, our daughter Sophia, our son Jake. I was a school librarian, nothing glamorous, but it paid well enough and gave me summers with my kids when they were young. When I turned 52, I started feeling tired. Not normal tired, the kind of exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. Marcus said I was probably perimenopausal. Sophia suggested yoga. Jake, finishing his master's in California, sent vitamins and a note that said, "Love you, Mom." I found the love myself during a shower in April. The word came back fast. Malignant. I called Marcus first. He was at the gym. When I told him, there was a pause, just 3 seconds too long, before he said all the right things. We'd fight this together. Everything would be fine. But in that pause, I'd heard something else. Something that sounded like inconvenience. Sophia cried on the phone, promised to come home from Chicago for the surgery. Jake booked a flight immediately, then canceled because his thesis advisor scheduled a critical meeting. He sent expensive flowers instead. The night before the operation, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs at 2 in the morning and found Marcus's laptop open on the kitchen table. The screen glowed blue, and I saw an email thread. Cancun reservation confirmed, April 20th to 27th. My surgery was April 19th. My recovery would take at least 2 weeks. I stood there reading emails between Marcus and someone named Linda from his office. They were discussing flight times and hotel upgrades and snorkeling excursions. Nothing obviously inappropriate, but they were planning a vacation during my cancer recovery. I closed the laptop carefully, went back to bed, stared at the ceiling until the alarm went off. At the hospital the next morning, Marcus held my hand in pre-op. Sophia had texted at 6 a.m. Her project had an emergency. She couldn't make it. She was so sorry. Marcus kissed my forehead, told me he loved me, promised he'd be there when I woke up. He wasn't. The recovery nurse said my husband had stepped out for calls and coffee. He came back 3 hours later smelling like that cologne again, apologizing about a work crisis. He took me home and tucked me into bed and made me tea. Then his phone rang. He took the call in the hallway, voice low, words I couldn't quite hear. That's when I searched his jacket and found the withdrawal slip. $3,000 from our joint savings. The account we'd built for emergencies. Withdrawn the morning of my surgery while I was unconscious. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Because a terrible voice in my head whispered, "What if there's more you don't know?" Recovery was supposed to take 10 days of bed rest. I spent the first 3 days pretending to sleep, listening. Marcus took 2 days off, then went back to the office. Every kiss felt like a test I was failing. On day 4, I opened his laptop. His password was still my birthday. The Cancun emails went back 6 months. Marcus and Linda had been planning this trip since October, before my diagnosis. But in March, after my biopsy came back malignant, Marcus had emailed Linda. Dee's health stuff is complicating timing. Can we push the trip back 2 weeks? Her response, is everything okay with her? His response, probably. She's dramatic about medical stuff. Either way, I need this vacation. You have no idea how stressed I've been. She's dramatic about medical stuff. I had cancer. They'd removed part of my breast. And my husband thought I was being dramatic. I opened Sophia's Instagram. She'd posted a photo yesterday at a rooftop bar in Chicago with friends, champagne glasses raised. Finally a break from the chaos. The chaos. My cancer was chaos to her. The week of my biopsy results, she'd been on a hiking trip. Jake's Facebook showed him at an upscale restaurant 3 days ago, the day of my surgery, celebrating his girlfriend's promotion. I called Jake. He answered distracted. Hey mom, sorry, I'm heading into a thing. What thing, Jake? Silence. A study group for my thesis. Was the study group at an expensive restaurant? With your girlfriend? I could hear him breathing. Finally, I sent flowers. You sent flowers? Mom, look, you don't understand the pressure I'm under. Dad said you'd understand. He said you were tough, you'd be fine, and I shouldn't tank my thesis over a routine surgery. Routine surgery. Marcus had told our son my cancer operation was routine. I hung up. For 3 hours, I opened every financial document I could find. Our joint savings was down $18,000 over 6 months. Small withdrawals I'd never noticed because I'd been focused on medical appointments and trying not to think about dying. I logged into our credit card accounts. Marcus had one I didn't know about. The statement showed jewelry stores, high-end restaurants, a hotel room 2 months ago, florist charges, concert tickets. None of it for me. But here's the thing about betrayal. It never stops at the first layer. The money was just the beginning. My friend Carol drove me to my oncologist follow-up on day 7. Marcus had promised to take me, then bailed for a work crisis. In the car, I finally broke. Told Carol everything. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel. Diane, I need to tell you something. 2 months ago, I saw Marcus at that Italian place downtown. With a younger woman. Blonde. They were holding hands. Linda was blonde. Mid-30s. The kind of person who posts gym selfies. At home, Marcus's phone buzzed on the counter. I picked it up, passcode still my birthday, and opened the message. Linda, can't wait for Saturday. I've been counting down the days. Saturday was 2 days away. The start of the Cancun trip. I scrolled through months of conversations. Affectionate, intimate, references to when we're finally together. And then, from 3 weeks ago, Marcus. Once the insurance money comes through after Dee's health stuff, we'll have enough to make a clean start. I've already talked to that lawyer about the best way to file. Linda, I feel terrible, but I know you've been unhappy for years. You deserve to be happy. He was waiting for me to die. Or, at least planning for the possibility. I called Sophia. When she finally answered, I asked, did your father give you money recently? Pause. He helped me with rent last month. $2,000. Why? Those unexpected expenses, were they the cabin rental you posted about? Longer pause. How did you? I had cancer surgery last week, Sophia. I know. And I felt horrible. But you're okay now, right? Dad said it went well. I'm sitting here with surgical drains still in my body. Your father withdrew $3,000 the morning of my surgery to plan a vacation with another woman. From our emergency savings. Money we needed for my medical bills. Silence. Then crying. Jake missed my surgery for an expensive dinner. You missed it to go day drinking. And your father told him it was routine, so he wouldn't feel guilty. Mom, when I got the scariest diagnosis of my life, Every single one of you treated it like an inconvenience. I hung up. That night, Marcus came home with takeout and flowers. He found me at the kitchen table with all the bank statements spread out. All the credit card bills. The printed emails. His phone with Linda's messages still open. The color drained from his face. Diane, don't. It's not what it looks like. You were waiting for the insurance money. After my health stuff. He sat down hard. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? I've been unhappy for years. And when you got sick, I thought maybe, he stopped. You thought maybe you'd get lucky and I'd die, and you'd get the life insurance and start over with Linda.
No.
God, no. You withdrew money the morning of my surgery. You told our son it was routine. You planned a vacation during my recovery. His eyes were wet. I made a mistake. You love my bank account. When did you stop seeing me as a person and start seeing me as an obstacle? He didn't answer. I want you out. Tonight. I'm calling a lawyer in the morning. Diane, please. This house is mine. The savings? I transferred what's left to an individual account an hour ago. The credit card you've been using? I reported it as fraud since I didn't authorize those charges. His face went pale. You can't. I can. I already did. You're going to sign divorce papers. And you're going to be grateful I'm not pressing charges for financial abuse. Marcus left that night with 2 suitcases. Sophia drove home the next day crying, apologizing. I let her in. Let her hold me. Told her I forgave her, but things had to change. She promised. Jake called that evening. Apologized. Said he'd been putting school first because that's what he thought I wanted. I told him what I actually wanted was a son who showed up. Marcus tried to contest the divorce. His lawyer took one look at the affair evidence and advised him to settle quickly. We split the house equity. The settlement was finalized in 4 months. Linda stopped returning his calls 2 weeks after he moved out. Turns out she was more interested in the fantasy than the reality of a man who abandoned his 6th spouse. He was quietly asked to resign from his job 3 months later. It's been 18 months since my surgery. The radiation worked. My scans are clear. I cut my hair short, something I'd always wanted but never had the courage to do. I look different, feel different, stronger. Sometimes at night I think about that withdrawal slip. $3,000. The thing that opened my eyes to everything I'd been too trusting to see. Sophia is trying. Really trying. She visits monthly, calls twice a week. We're rebuilding slowly. Jake is still busy in California. Still promising to visit soon. I've stopped holding my breath. I bought a small condo. Decorated it exactly how I wanted.
Adopted a cat.
Started painting again. Joined a book club for cancer survivors. Found people who understood what it meant to be forgotten. If you're listening and you see yourself in my family, in my children who were too busy, my husband who checked out, please hear this. The people who care for you, who build their lives around you, who show up every day, they won't be there forever. When they're gone, or when they finally walk away, you'll remember every moment you chose something else over them. Don't let it take cancer or betrayal for you to see the people who've been seeing you all along. The house I built for my family is gone now, but I'm still standing.
Scarred.
Smaller in some ways, but standing. And for the first time in 28 years, I'm building a life for myself. That's worth more than any bank account Marcus could have emptied. If this story spoke to you, if it echoed a silence you've known, then you're not alone. This is what The Silent Parents is all about, giving a voice to the unspoken struggles. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, consider subscribing. It helps our quiet community grow. And if you feel someone else needs to hear this today, share it with them. Your thoughts, your experiences, they matter. Leave a comment below and tell us what this story brought up for you.